friends, I'll talk briefly general introduction to SARS-CoV-2 virus, on its impact matrix. How does it impact various sectors? Particularly, I'm focusing on manufacturing sector, energy sector, climate change, healthcare industry, and food industry. Then I will relate to how it converges to what we are doing in antimicrobial technologies, how we are using nanoengineering to by biomimicking nature to develop some solutions to develop bactericidal surfaces or antiviral surfaces and excellent mechanical properties. I mean, I'm very happy to share that as on 3 days ago, we started testing our surfaces with SARS-CoV-2 virus, which is the one caused COVID-19 disease throughout the world. I mean, our very preliminary response was seen last 3 days. In first 7 minutes, our surfaces deactivated almost 70% of the virus. However, it taking a long time to go to 70 to, we waited 24 hours, it come to 70 to 85% of the virus were deactivated. So we are still trying, our trials will continue another 4 weeks. Probably we'll be able to share more information, how impact the surfaces we generate against SARS-CoV-2 virus. So, I mean, you see a lot of information. Most of whatever I'm sharing first few minutes is a public knowledge, everyone knows. I mean, even a primary child kid, if you ask him what is a COVID-19, he or she will be able to tell. Even a 75 years old scientist also will have information. So what I share here is only in public domain. But basically, it is novel coronavirus. This is the one caused COVID-19 disease. I'm sure most of you know. So this disease is the one responsible for SARS. This virus, SARS-CoV-2 is the virus which was responsible for the SARS disease in 2003, which is a virus responsible for MERS, Middle Eastern Respiratory Syndrome in 2009. And it is a common strain. However, as the strain mutates, forms different form, all of them related to one common problem, which is respiratory infections, respiratory diseases. But COVID-19 have a lot more highly dangerous, contagious kind of a behavior when compared to earlier viruses. That's the reason why when SARS occurred in 2003, it was there around 9 months' time. The impact was not as bad as this one. And you know, common symptoms you can see: fever, cough, difficulty in breathing, and body pain, and also some of the very silent, quiet symptoms are there. Even though I mentioned here, incubation period is 2 to 14 days. Actually, it is 28 days. To be honest, I talk to any virologist. There is a virologist in my team. My daughter herself, a respiratory virologist. They say it is actually 28 days. But out of 28 days, 14 days, the virus is very active and contagious. And that's the reason why throughout the world, WHO recommended a standard of a 14-day quarantine period. But here the fine line is, we don't know which 14 days of 28 days is actually contagious. This is a question challengeable. However, I mean, based on the evidence, they identified when this is shows symptoms, it goes 14 days from there. However, current record shows some people were not as impacted. They don't have these symptoms, still carried COVID-2 virus and spread it around the people. It all depends on the independent different mechanism. You can see the mechanisms. What you can see is how do you protect yourself and protect others, and washing hands, avoiding close contact, the social distancing of 1.5 meters, number of measures, only prevention to avoid spread. If you see, I mean, when all of us met in Australia early February, that was the beginning of the this pandemic across the world. It was there in China a couple of months before, but the rest of the world don't know much about that. But I remember when we were boarding the ship, few of Chinese delegates were not allowed because of the just now entire world realizing from that point of time it could be dangerously spreadable, but still they took few weeks to implement tough conditions. And we can see now more than 6 million people impacted over the world, more than 330,000 people died. But economic loss is still tangible, still we can't say how much is that. If you see this impact matrix here, even though it impacted several sectors, very highly impacted 3 sectors here, which is retail industry, which is food, tourism, and other kind of stuff, aviation industry, tourism and travel. This sector is very badly impacted when compared to all other sectors, but There is impact to oil and gas industry, automobile, logistics. You can see there are short-term impacts and some long-term impacts, financial services. But we'll see each one of the sectors in detail over the next 7-8 minutes. You see, if we look at the projected growth of the economic growth of the world, the blue color indicates projected economic growth. For example, so look at the world, which are 3% projected growth, and China is almost close to 5.7% growth. Projected normal scenario in 2020. But due to the impact of COVID-19, base impact of just in the beginning itself, impact of COVID-19, you can see the orange color one, how it has shrunk the projected growth to lower levels. It is worse in some countries, but we've taken only top 10 countries economic growth here. But we see, but overall, if we consider a risk scenario, overall pandemic, you see how badly economies, some countries like Japan and Italy going to -2 to -3%, which is kind of a huge impact on those economies. It brings even the world projecting 0.75% shrunk of economic growth, but still doubtful. The reason is we don't know how long it still. Few countries are locked out. Biggest countries like India and China still locked out, and numbers are going by thousands. So for example, India numbers, in spite of the 100% curfew over the past 2 months, the extended lockout for another month, still cases are going in thousands day by day. So the full economic analysis could be seen only maybe in a few weeks more time, how badly it impacted the entire world, and is it going to take recession. If you see the top 10 industries affected by COVID-19, you can see the biggest sector which is badly impacted is accommodation and food services. You can see this is across the globe. I mean, tourism is part of that. Then comes the number of recreational services, mining, rental cars, professionals, etc. You can see how many, there's no sector which was untouched because of the COVID-19, but these sectors are big, top 10, which badly impacted. All the information I'm providing here is given by Australian Bureau of Statistics. And if you see how as I mentioned, this lockdown approach by restrictions to limit to spread of SARS-CoV-2 virus, it impacted number of industries, energy sector, manufacturing sector, food industry, climate change, medical sector. Basically, all these impact happened because of the shortening of the supply chains, because of increased cooperations, and also transition to virtual space. I mean, some of the positive things of the impact of COVID-19 I will share with them in the next few slides. So by restricting the spread around, by imposing the lockout by different economies, different countries, it impacted a number of sectors. I'm touching upon only these 5 sectors, which are very close to our heart. And look at the manufacturing. Look at the manufacturing top 10 countries, starting with China, followed by America, going up to Mexico. They are the top, that includes India, Italy, France, UK, South Korea, and Germany. You can see the projected, these approximately manufacturing share in the world is 28.4% China, 16.6% United States. But now, if you look at China alone, you can see I given the 10, 15 companies impacted sectors. For example, motor vehicles, it's gone down by 32%. For general machinery, 28%. Like you can see that all the sectors, railways, fabricated metal products, rubber industry, electric machinery, special purpose machinery, non-metals, food, processing, everything, every industry impacted between 1% to 32%. That impact doesn't stop there. It goes through the world and follows on to as tiny worlds as small nations like Australia, but impact bigger worlds like European economies. All of them have drastic impact. And if you look at, those of you living in Europe, you know significance of Industry 4.0, how well it was accepted, and how industry is slowly realizing the importance of Industry 4.0 and transforming their own particular sectors to be compliance with Industry 4.0. But this particular incident of COVID-19 made it absolutely a lot more utmost important, the significance of Industry 4.0 compliance, because you can see most of us now working. Professor Harald just mentioned university was closed for several weeks, and they're just coming back. They were doing online teaching. Same as our university is still closed down. We may open up in a few weeks' time. It was just open for staff. we're doing all online teaching, and you see the the integration, cyberspace integration is played a bigger role in the current COVID-19 situation. Just because of that, finance industry, stock markets, even though they have some impact, still the business become as usual, and this cyber system interface helped us. So this Industry 4.0 compliance will have a lot more authority for these different industries, particularly manufacturing sector, to work business as usual in spite of the lockdown and the closeouts. So what we realized is this: one of the good outcome of this COVID-19 is in industry realized, manufacturing sector, how important compliance with Industry 4.0 and how important cyber system space interactions and integration, so that could be achieved through Industry 4.0. And also, all what we hear is all is bad so far, but as a matter of fact, there is a small sector which had a tremendous impact because of COVID-19, which is climate change. You can see by working from home, or we having Zoom meetings instead of traveling domestic and international. So that reduced the pollution caused by a number of sectors, by aviation industry, industrial pollution caused by automotive cars due to domestic travel, pollution caused by marine vehicles. All of them actually reduced the green gas emissions, and some areas it reduced as much as 30% of green gas emissions. This is the very good positive sign of the climate change industry here. All of them, I'll give you some statistics. Emissions of sulfur dioxide, carbon monoxide, nitrogen oxide, nitrogen dioxide, all of them drastically reduced. As a result of that, we have very low carbon footprint, very clean environment. Cities like Shanghai, cities like New Delhi, cities like Jakarta, this part of the time you see nothing except fog everywhere and smog environment. But now those cities are very, very clean and very clear skies, and they helped hundreds of thousands of young children and people having respiratory diseases improve their quality of life due to the improvement of this climate change. You see some comparisons I'm giving here for four cities: New Delhi, New York, Madrid, and Rome. You can see how all of them carbon footprints dropped so bad from 40 to 30 times. They reduced about 30% overall in the first 3 months' time. It impacted many ways. And you can see less domestic travel, 40%, decrease in carbon monoxide, 50%, and other aspects of 41%. So you can see overall how 67 million less people travel over the last 3 months when compared to similar numbers in previous years. So all of them clearly shows us everything is not bad. It has had a positive impact in some sector, and cities like those big cities like Delhi, Tokyo, Shanghai, Beijing, we had such a kind of a pollution impact. They're drastically reduced. You can see the energy consumption also drastically reduced. That includes all the three: fuel supply, power sector, energy, and energy efficiency. You see the comparisons here. They drastically reduced from this level to this level. Overall, there's 20% of change from previous year at the same time. What you realize in the United States alone, out of the total power supply, 1.5% of power supply mainly consumed by these data centers. And I mean, that is helping to current economy keep going, but there's a lot of drop in energy spending. Other sectors, 40%. You can see that we're getting 9.1 terabytes per second speed, one of the Frankfurt city. This is the kind of thing which never imagined by people. All these are positive sides are happening. However, energy consumption is down, energy prices gone down, fuel prices have gone down, all because of this impact. So you can see as the impact of this consequence, global lockdown measures, there is a decline of global oil demand by 57%. I know it badly impacts some oil producing nations, some epic nations. However, rest of the world is enjoying the advantage of this fall in oil prices. You can see I compared again four companies, United States, Europe, China, and India. You can see how drastically reduced the consumption and the fuel cost as well. So that's what clearly shows the global electricity demand decreased by 2% in the beginning of the epidemic. Now it is 15% less consumption when compared to the rest of the countries. Now look at the healthcare industry. I mean, what you suddenly realized is this particular pandemic caused a shortage of supplies, particularly personal protection equipment, masks, gloves, whatnot. Actually, in some hospitals, they have to close down the hospitals in Australia due to lack of the full supply of the personal product equipment in the beginning. Now the problem has been sorted out. Now with logistics have been improved. We sourced out. We had a lot of, I mean, can't imagine a company which is manufacturing beer suddenly transform their sector line to produce this what do you call our this hand wash kind of a cleaning agents. I thought of showing a product, I couldn't find it, I kept it here. But anyway, so basically it impacted. So a lot of industry transformed to produce these products. Even though we had temporary shortage, the problem has been addressed. And also, one of the things was telehealth. Telehealth was conceptually introduced a long time ago, but now practiced by doctors and patients. Now in Australia, telehealth is a big thing. I mean, even today I see my specialist, but I don't have to see in person. They give some prescriptions. We do the test. The results goes to them. Then we'll do telehealth consultations. It helped healthcare industry to some extent to use the virtual health systems. But demand for test kits and all was a problem in the past. But now it's again has been improved. And you can see healthcare industry, even though a lot of work going up there, the anxiety among health workers has increased due to extended working hours and also potential exposure to infected patients. But I should say, the entire world should be grateful and should thank the healthcare workers who were brave and put their lives at risk to support the world and to contain the disease. And even though healthcare demand is going up, jobs has gone down because of the various requirements, as mentioned earlier. And you can see the impacts due to a number of reasons. If you look at food industry, COVID-19 impacted a number of ways. Increased panic buying by all the people to store the food by not knowing what happens tomorrow, what happens next week, how long it lasts. Similarly, logistics badly impacted, a decrease in supply of perishable commodities and transport restrictions, and increasing struggle of farmers all together caused the food industry a big impact. And consumption has gone down, and the restaurants are closed, pubs are closed, etc., etc. Now, so far I was touching upon the impact of COVID-19, how it caused turmoil in the entire world in economies and also in everybody's personal life. Now, my group called Smart Structures and Biointerface Group, the work what we do at Queensland University of Technology is much relevant to the current problem. We have a group of bacteriologists, group of epidemiologists, group of virologists, and a group of manufacturing professionals like us. We work together working together as a team over the past 4 or 5 years. And to try this, as I mentioned, this work started a while ago. Luckily, it became handy now. So how can we use the work to address some of the issues? How the nanotechnology and nanoengineering could apply for antimicrobial technologies, which could prevent this kind of containing any bacterial spread or viral spread. We can see, what we can say is nanotechnology is a solution to inhibit transmission of SARS-CoV-2 virus. As I mentioned, we are proving that. And basically look at if it is a bacteria, some only biophilic surfaces, they reflect bacteria, but not by using different techniques, explosion, electrostatic repulsion, or low surface energy, or some biophobic, which kills, either releasing a biosphere releasing or using some kind of a mechanical geometry. This is the area we concentrated mainly, how this bacteria or virus could be killed and deactivated by using these nanotechnical surfaces. What we did is we learned from nature. You can see beautiful butterfly here. What we did is we found that these butterfly wings have a particular nano texture, and on butterfly or cicada or dragonfly, dragonfly, not butterfly, I'm sorry. When dragonfly cicada dies, the main part of the body, pressure of the body disintegrates very quickly, whereas the wings will last for several months, if not years. That is because they are hydrophobic, they are hydrophilic, and also they have a special nanotexture. We did analyze all these wings. We realized that they have a particular texture which is responsible for killing those bacteria. And what we did is we biomimic those textures on titanium for medical implants first. Now we were biomimicking the texture on aluminum surfaces, which are commonly used in various hospital applications and public transport applications. And next few slides will show what we have done, how it minimizes the bacterial spread, and how it deactivates virus. They are the 5 important elements we use to contain these virus and spreads. And you can see what we did is, as I mentioned, we have a lot of other surfaces. It could be shark skin, it could be lotus leaves, it could be dragonfly wings, it could be cicada wings. Some are biofoil nature, some are the biophilic or biophobic nature. All of them, we generated surfaces, combination of both anti-biofouling and bactericidal. In that way, they not only allow sticking of bacteria, also kill them instantly. So basically what we did is we learned from nature, and we studied insect wing nanostructures, both cicada and dragonfly. Then we surface characterized these bacterial attachments. Then what we did is we use several nanofabrication techniques to translate this work under surface characterization and bacterial attachment. And then we produced nano design, nanoscale topography, which is both antibacterial and antiviral. So you can see that the wing structures, if you see closely in microscope, several sections of this cicada wing have a different nanopillar structure. Mainly what we realized on the veins, this is structured very, very perfect. You can see the related both SEM and AFM images. You can see how dense structures are. These are structures actually killing the bacteria by puncturing the diaphragm and causing leak of cytoplasma and lead to death of bacteria. Bacteria is killing in 7 minutes. That's what we realized. And virus also, 70% of virus was deactivated in the first 1 hour. And so basically these typical texts are responsible for all this antimicrobial behavior, both bactericidal and antiviral behaviors. If you see the hospitals, you can see the number of hospital-acquired infections. I mean, it's a big problem anywhere in the world. I'm sure I agree. You go to hospital with one disease and you cured the disease, but you got some other disease spread out, maybe a cough, maybe pneumonia, something else, you get it while come out of hospital. All because you can see the potential places of contagious in hospitals, chairs, beds, trolleys, whatnot. All of them could be contagious areas. And Australia alone, world, about 700,000 people die every year because of the hospital-acquired infections, because they are antibiotic resistant bugs, and millions of people dying. Europe, in particular years alone, is expected $100 trillion business for next 10 million people die each year. In next few years, 30 years, it's going to go $100 trillion industry. In Australia, there are approximately 165 cases of hospital-acquired infections every year, and some of them are dying because of the bugs they get is antibiotic resistant. And whereas our approach, nano-engineering approach we tried 3 superbugs. We killed them within 3 hours span, from 6 minutes to 3 hours span. All the superbugs also have been killed by our surfaces. Hence, no problem of any antibiotic resistant bugs either. See, Pseudomonas arizona and Staphylococcus aureus, they are the 2 bacteria we tried, which are the common infections in orthopedic applications. And we tried rhino syncytial virus and rhinovirus. These are the 2 common respiratory viruses, causes common illness in respiratory infections, then followed by influenza, followed by now SARS-CoV-2 virus. So what we did is we have particular typical structures like this under 200 nanometer structures. And these are the one we tried, we killed all the surface bacteria and also deactivated these 2 viruses. We already tried these 2 viruses, but now we are trying the 3rd virus. So you can see here, when it is a control surface, how the bacteria are surviving here. All cells are surviving, green you can see, but here they punctured here, spread around, and all the red indicates the dead bacteria cells. And the difference you can see between main surface and control surface. This is for Pseudomonas arizona. This is the Staphylococcus aureus. This is where you can see how cells were here, all alive, but you see how they spread around and dead here. And as I mentioned, even though I'm showing 2 figures only, but we did hundreds of thousands of, if not thousands, hundreds of tests, hundreds of different strains, positive, gram-positive bacteria, gram-negative bacteria, and E. coli, number of bacteria we tried. Even tried pneumonia also. Now we try, as I mentioned, we tried 2 viruses, respiratory syncytial virus and also rhinovirus. There are 2 viruses, common respiratory infections. You can see within 2 hours, most of them in fact drop down here from this number to this number. So you can see what it means is these nanostructures, what we produce, differently working very well. They're deactivating all the viruses. I'm not using the word killing virus. Virus can never kill, only can deactivate temporarily at that stage. And to see whether surface bacteria are killed or not, testing is very easy. We use different kind of methods, standardized methods available. And by killing, but testing whether virus is deactivated, we have to put live cells next to them that measure the viability of live cells. If live cells are infected, and then we realize the infection. So the process is a roundabout process. It takes a long time, but still we were very comfortable. You can see we compared control surfaces, each one our plates, what we generated. You can see how drastically it died. And now one of the concerns for us is how long our nanotexture lost, nanopillars lost, 1 month, 1 week, 1 year, 10 years, we don't know. And so far we tested, our nanotextures are lost until 9 months. They have excellent mechanical properties, but what it was, nanotexture, nanoscale, if wipe off the hand, will it get damaged? We proved that no, they will not damage, can survive much larger forces and pressures than human hand. And the nanostructures can survive both normal and lateral forces. So, but now we're still testing. So far, we proved these structures will last until 9 months. We are still testing for few other possibility, but we're hoping a lifeline of 3 years at least. Then we can upscale the technology to produce thin film of this nanostructures, which could be wrapped around existing hospital furniture, or buses, exhibitions, or cruises, wherever we need to use it. You can see we kill all the bacteria between 500 to 100 nanometers. We kill all the virus, which is in the order of 60 to 140 nanometers by these surfaces. I'm not saying this is the only solution. This is one of the alternate solutions we can try. As I mentioned here, you can see our work has been cited by all these media across the US, particularly, and in some countries in India and Australia. And this article was published only less than 3 weeks. 13th of May it was published, and we were getting so many responses, and we also given some interviews with the television media in America and in Australia. When we are holding it to finish our current study on the SARS-CoV-2 virus, and we'll launch it maybe in 3 weeks' time. But yes, we already given some interviews to WGN Network TV in Chicago and other places. And just Geoffrey is one of my senior research fellow, and we're launching the community awareness, how this nanotechnology can be used to fight hospital-acquired infections. We launched a crowd funding, and we also did a kind of a stall during one of our university programs. And we're lucky to get about $8,000 donations we got from people who seen our work in the stalls. But we were going to do crowdfunding, but this is not the time. This time is the one to give to others, not to ask for. That's what we're doing now. We're supporting a number of Australia have almost more than 70,000, 80,000 Indian students and 200,000 international students. At this time, we are doing everything voluntary work to support them, to give them free food, give them free transport services, all we're providing to various charitable organizations. But once problem is disappeared, then probably we'll launch our crowdfunding approach. So I would like to start with acknowledging my team. The work of this nature is not a one person's work or two people work. A group of people working here, I would like to acknowledge main people who are the parts of my team. Professor Michael Schultz. Michael is not an academic, he's a trauma specialist, but we had a very long interaction with him over past 10 years. He's one of our clinical surgeons, and he shares a wealth of knowledge with us in various aspects. And similarly, Professor Intong is a computational mechanics specialist, and particularly related to biomechanics area. And YT joined our team a few years ago. Now he's head of school, actually he's my boss now. And you can see a number of postdocs, Dr. Fani, Dr. Alka, Dr. Jafar Hassan, Dr. Hazreen, Javed Malkani, Dr. Jaini, Mr. Hassan, Isham, and Dr. Asha Machu. All are my postdocs working on several aspects of project. And Isham is the only one submitting his thesis now, and probably he will be a doctor in 2 weeks' time. The work is going on about 7-8 years. And now you'll see, as I mentioned, we did not reach the area of the antiviral work or against COVID-19 disease, but all of background, the track record, what we have done. I'll also share towards the end recent media launch done by American Chemical Society and our work. It was there everywhere in America in news. It was there in few TV channels in America. I will share that also towards the end of my talk. Pandemics could be could be outbreaks, could be infections. We believe nanotechnology is the one, and nanotechnology, nanomaterial is the one create a solution to address those problems without causing any side effects.